from Rythmia Life Advancement Center in beautiful, wet Guanacaste, Costa Rica. I've been talking about how many Tuesdays have been sunny, and there have been like, I don't know, 50. And then this one's a little overcast, but it's beautiful because we need it. Everything is green and popping. It's gorgeous here. What is Rythmia? Rythmia is a life advancement center located in Costa Rica that believes in a particular type of healing called a soul merger. We're extremely good at it. I don't mind saying that because we are. We're one of TripAdvisor's #1 rated hotels in the world. And 97.11% of the almost 12,000 people who have been here report a life-changing miracle during their stay that has to do with this soul merger. Now, the other 2.91%, this is really what's interesting, 14% of that 2.91% says they got their miracle by the time they arrived home. Pretty good. 72% of those 2.91% say they would return to Rythmia, that they'd come back and do it again. And 52% of them say that this was the week that changed their life, even the ones that didn't get their miracle. Crazy, right? Well, that's what kind of place we have. We're the only one like it in the world. Everybody comes here, from athletes to movie stars to musicians to business people to normal people like you and me to activists to civil rights leaders. It's just an amazing place. It's an amazing place. Last week, we had the pleasure of Taito Juanito Chindoy, who was just incredible. He's my Taita. We had a deep, deep, deep healing week. Lots of love, lots of care, just an amazing week. And this week we have another very, very, very big week with a lot of people and a lot going on. Next Tuesday I'll be here again, and then for the month of June I'll be in Turks, and we're setting up some offices there to do some marketing and telemarketing and things of that nature. So I'll be broadcasting from there, which I happen to love because it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. So I'm so lucky that I engineered my own life to be split between two places that I really love, 3, including California. So anywho, this is called tools number 4. In the first one, we talked about setting the table for people and organizing your team. In the second one, we talked about tithing and how to properly tithe. In the third one, we talked about prayers and goals, and using these prayers and goals and setting proper time expectations for these things, then interweaving those goals into your prayers. So we talked about that. In this talk, we're going to talk about taking action. So all of the other things sort of have been done, right? We know that it's going to be 10 years. We don't have any expectations on how great it will be, but we have some ideas, right? We know it's going to take 10 years. If it takes a little bit less, that's cool. We have our tithing agreements done. We've signed them. We know what we're doing with that. We're saying our prayers every day, every single day, and we're in motion. And now that we've picked this item, picked this thing, which is our becoming a beneficial presence on the planet through this thing, we have to figure out what do we have to do to get it, and then what are the steps that we have to take each and every single day in order to do it. And how do we do that? Well, I'm going to tell you, if that thing is picked from here, and if you've done the rest, then the doing is an automatic thing. And here's the cool part about it. The doing becomes better than the getting. The doing becomes better than the getting. So I have some goals for Rythmia and where it's going and all that, but nothing is cooler than going over here and helping people through the process. The doing is better than the getting, right? But let's talk about it. So some of us that haven't been in this position before to take a look at this thing that they want to manifest and then walking it backwards. Some of us that haven't done it don't know how to do it, right? Because we might just have the end picture in mind, and that is great. That is great. But without a plan of getting there, it's just a wish or a hope. I know so many people that have so many of these with no idea of how to get to them. And that's just wasted energy, right? So what you'll notice is the people that have the highest success rates have the ability to take that thing, to break it down into steps, and then to take action on those steps. It is that simple. If you can't do those two things, you're not in it. If you can't do the first thing, you never get it, right? But if you can't do all of them, you're not going to get there. You're just not going to get there. So, like I say to people, this is hard. This is hard. This is why 99% of people don't do it. And then that is a whole nother thing, because not doing it is actually harder than doing it. It really is. It's actually harder than doing it. So the easiest thing is to bite the bullet and say you're going to do it and then do it this way. So if there is something out here I want to become the world's best piano player, then I have to take it back and ask some questions. Do I have a piano? Do I know how to play? Do I know a teacher? Where am I at in this scale? Then how much time is it going to take me to practice this piano every single day? Let's say I don't have a piano. So now I got to find a way to get a piano. Then I got to find a way to find a teacher. And that's all doable steps. And then I got to figure out how often I'm going to practice in order to get there. This is simple stuff. But then I have to write that down. That is my steps to this thing. I'm going to have to practice 3 hours a day for, I don't know, 1,500 days, maybe somewhere between 1,500 and 2,500 days. That is my deal. And that's what I got to do. And that's what I have to do to get there. Now, playing the piano is easy, right? But you still do need things. You need a piano, you need a team, you need all this stuff, right? If my goal is to create a particular kind of company, now that gets even harder, because then I got to break it down into more detail, more steps, and I have to start following those steps. So a lot of us have this dream about owning a bakery, right? But we're not even creating business yet. So this is where a lot of people get confused. They say, well, I have to buy the bakery first. You do not. What you have to do is go get some dough and make some cookies. And then give those cookies away. And do that for as many days as you have to in your spare time. And then once people start lining up for those cookies, then you start charging for it. 2 cookies, 8 cookies, 10 cookies, 12 cookies, 20 cookies, 40 cookies, 80 cookies. That's how this works. I had a friend, his name was Carter Lay, is no longer with us. His grandfather started Lay's Potato Chips, the company, and became a multi-billionaire, right? How'd he do it? Selling peanuts in the street, the best peanuts there were. The best peanuts there were. It all starts with little things. See, if it works on the little scale, it works on the big scale. You can use the little scale to learn the skills that make it on the big scale. Because nothing ever looks like it looks in the drawing stages. So I'm going to talk about that in a second. So the first thing I'm going to do is reverse engineer it and break it down into these steps. If you don't have the gumption or the perseverance to do the steps, then I can't help you. You have to do this every day. You have to look at your plan and follow the step. Look at your plan and follow the step. Now, if it's a company, or if you're going to become a healer, if you're going to start your own practice, if you're going to do this, you're going to do that, how it looks in the initial drawing is very rarely, if ever, how it ends up. So what you have to be able to do is to look at it in its completed form, to break down the steps, and then when it's not working in a particular way, you have to sit down and readjust. Now, you might be readjusting once a month. You might be readjusting 3 times a day, but it doesn't matter. But this is the perseverance it needs. This is what you need in order to drive this thing home. And then you will notice after about 3 years that it starts taking the shape, and that shape becomes more definable. And as that definition occurs, you have less of readjusting and more practical work on it. And then that's when it becomes fun. Now, for some of us, it's fun the whole time. For me, I love starting with a blank slate and saying, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to build the #1 plastic surgery center or plastic surgery business in the world, or we're going to build this finance business, or we're going to build this, or we're going to build that. When I was in the business of business, I loved doing it. I loved it. Each part of it turned me on, each part of it. Some people don't like doing it. You got to get to the point where even if you don't like it, you can still complete it. You still sit there, take a look at what this product is going to look like, or this service, or this life that you're building for yourself. I like to do it in life forms, and this is what I mean by that. At one point, I said I wanted to have Rythmia and make it the #1 spiritual center in the world. I want to have a place in Turks and Caicos. I want to split my time between here and there, and I want to go to California to visit my family. That was my dream. And I worked towards that dream, right? Chipped away at it bit by bit, step by step, piece by piece, and do it. That's a life engineering. So there's all kinds of these engineering feats that you're going to do. You're going to make what your overall life wants to look like, what your relationships wants to look like, what you want your business to look like, what you want your profession to look like, and then re-engineer them, reverse engineer them, or engineer them from beginning to end. If it hasn't been done before, you got to do it yourself. You have to Elon Musk it. You have to say, okay, this is the first. But if it's been done before, you can reverse engineer it and see the steps that you have to make to do it, right? But all of these things are part of my daily and weekly practice that I'm working on what my life engineering looks like, what my relationships engineering looks like. And I don't just mean romantic relationships. I mean relationships with all things, with my community, with my business, with my neighbors, with my mother, all of that is part of this engineering, and all of it is important, and all of it has to be addressed. Why don't people address this all the time? Because it's a lot of work. This is absolutely, positively a lot of work. A lot. Now, the funny thing with work, it's harder in the beginning and easier in the end. Once you adopt this lifestyle, this way of being, of I'm going to become a beneficial presence in all of these different things, and it's going to be work. It's harder in the beginning and easier as it goes on. Now, here's the real beauty. At some point, inertia takes over in each one of these things. And then all these benefits start happening, and it looks simple, easy. And people look at it and go, wow, look how easy that is for him. It's not. It is now, but it wasn't in the beginning, because you got to think of it like this. It's pushing a rock up a hill. When you get to the other side, yeah, it rolls down easy and all that, because you did all the work to create it. So don't think it should be easy. If you think it should be easy, you're kidding yourself. You're going to quit. Know the fact it's going to be hard. It's going to take long, but it's going to give you more than you ever imagined. And you make a deal with yourself to let no human being talk you out of it. No one. And that is regardless of whatever circumstances pop up, you're going to go. And you send that message to the universe. You send that message to the world. You send that message to your team. You vibrationally send that message and frequency-wise to everything around you, and you start rolling. And that is the truth. So as we break this thing down, and you're going to be wrong so much. You're going to swear that it should work this way, and you do it, and it doesn't work. You know what you have to do? You look at it, you re-engineer, you cock it 3 degrees to the left, and you go again. 3 degrees to the right, and you go again. 3 degrees north and you go again, 3 degrees south and you go again. And you just commit to keep doing this and doing it and doing it until it takes a shape. And what I mean by that is this: the universe will start to assist when you hit the sweet spot. When you fashion your program so that it whatever that program is, so that it generates the most value for the person receiving it, it will create a sweet spot and they'll start lining up. And all of a sudden you'll be getting this activity, and then it starts to take form. And as it takes form, you work harder and harder at it, and then it becomes more perfect and more perfect and more perfect. And the next thing you know, you have an unstoppable thing. Unstoppable, because it is right. Now, that is super hard to do, and I'm going to help you through days. So what do I mean by that? There will be days when you get sued. There will be days when people tell lies about you. There will be days when you get negative press. Yep. There will be days when there's no money in the bank. Yep. There will be days when your mother and best friends try to talk you out of doing what you're doing because it's obviously not working. Yep. There's going to be days where you feel like talking to yourself out of it. Yep. All of those things are going to happen. All of them are going to happen. And what is the cost of not going forward? The cost, because there's risk, right? Because you could be wrong. What is the risk inherent in not doing it? Just think of that. What is, as soon as I get a little frustrated or tired, and I do get tired, I'm going to be turning 59 years old. I get tired, right? There's times I get tired, but what is the risk of not doing it? It's always 10 times greater than the risk of doing it. It's always 10 times greater than the risk of doing it. So, because if you concede to you're not going to get that thing, if you concede to you're never going to be a great piano player, if you concede to you're never going to have your own business healing people, if you concede to you're never going to have the relationship that you envisioned, if you concede to that, life as you know it is over. Life as you know it is over. Because you just gave away the zest of the whole thing. And part of this beneficial presence stuff is what it brings you. When you are a beneficial presence, it brings a ton of good to you, to your family, to your neighborhood, to your community, to your company. It brings it all in. So don't let anyone talk you out of it. Don't let yourself talk you out of it, and get up the next morning and do it again. Do it again, readjust, do it again. Do it again, readjust, do it again. I ran out of money, so what? If you have that thing in you, if you're driven, you'll find the money. Fact. My employee left me, so what? There'll be another one right behind them. Right behind them, if you're right. If you're right, and by right, I mean if your conviction towards the thing is strong enough, everybody will hop on. Everybody will hop on. So this is the part of the program that causes the trouble. The other things are pretty easy. You can write an agreement about tithing. You can have a real sense of proper timing. You can write your goals. You can do your prayers. You can set the table for people. But the taking action thing is where the rubber hits the road. This is where the rubber hits the road. And you don't want to take action without a plan. You can't. Taking action without a plan is a prescription for failure. Always, right? Because you have to know, in a room full of the blind, one person has to know where they're going all the time. That person is you. You have to know where you're going all the time. That's why the plan is so important. The engineering is so important. And it's hard. I'm going to tell you, sometimes I would put together these elaborate, 5-year plans by week and get 3 weeks into it and realize that I built 4.5 years worth of stuff that was wrong. And I have to go back to it and readjust it, and go back to it and readjust it, and go back to it and readjust it. That's why I use Excel for planning. I don't write anything down. It's all because it takes so much adjustment. So what you're constantly doing is you're constantly looking at it and then adjusting, looking at it and then adjusting, looking at it and then adjusting. That is it. This is part of the thing. And what do I mean by that? Let's go back to the piano player. Well, the piano player says he's going to do it for 3 hours a day for 2,500 days. And then he finds out that he got a job in a different state and he can't do it. He can't do it for 3 hours a day. He has to do it 4 hours on a Monday, 1 hour on a Tuesday, a half hour on a Wednesday, 7 hours on a Saturday. That's an adjustment. And that's what I'm talking about. And then when you adjust, you recommit and you go forward. And then if that doesn't work out and he gets another job, he adjusts again and adjusts again and adjusts again and adjusts again. But it does not matter. You keep going forward, you keep your eye on that goal, and you keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And then all of a sudden, this point of inertia where the rock goes up the hill and starts coming down, it starts getting easy. It starts getting easy, and then it starts getting fun. When does that happen? For me, generally, around the 3 to 5 year mark in a thing, where everything starts coming together, right? And then the great opportunity at that point is to become great at it, right? So a lot of people will say, hey, you know what? We're doing good enough for us. Let's leave it here and not me. That's the point for me to become great at it. I want to keep pushing it and keep getting better and keep getting better, because in order for me to be the most beneficial presence on the planet, I have to be the best at what I do. Fact. Fact. I have to be the best I can possibly be at what I do. That's what I mean. And the same will happen to you. If you can adopt this mindset, the whole thing is yours. One of my favorite movies in the world is Gerry, and he talks about the Quan. The Quan is yours. If you can do this, the Quan is yours. And I want you to have it. So my book, Truthonomics, is coming out, I think, the first week of August, which is right around the corner. And I want you to have it and I want you to use it. But a lot of what I talked about in the last 4 have been these things. A lot of what I talked about in the past 4 have been these things, the Truthonomic things. So keep this. Have a beautiful week. We're super, super busy and I got to run today. But have a beautiful, beautiful week. God keep you. God bless you. God hold you. And we will see you next week. Cheers.